Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Distraction. I'm in a new place. Because of the lockdown, I've had to move back to my hometown, which also means that I can't use my GoPro because I've left the charger battery there. So this is the camera that I'll be using today. I don't know how long it records for, so I hope it gets everything. But yeah, they're the only differences. Thank you for coming back to watch episode 2. I had a few people write me some constructive criticism, so big thank you to them. One of them was someone telling me not to start a podcast, so shout out to you. I'm back and I don't care. I do care. It's just I've got nothing else to do, and this really substitutes talking to people. So hello and thank you for being back. The second one was from one of my friends who, if you remember last week, I talked about David Icke. He's actually called David Icke, so I apologise for that. And let me get my phone because I do remember him saying, I do remember him having another issue with the podcast. But again, I'd like to take this time to say thank you for listening. Please do genuinely get in touch and tell me if there's things you think I've got wrong or things I have actually got wrong. So he said I pronounced David Icke, so I apologise for that. When I was going through what good things have happened, like what good things companies have done, like Cineworld giving you money back and stuff, he said I didn't mention Pornhub. Pornhub is currently doing premium at the time just in Italy, but is now worldwide. So if you're in England, you can now experience Pornhub Premium for free. So there you go. So I'm going to jump into the funny stories from this week. They're not like my funny stories, just things I've witnessed online. But one of them was Stolen Picture. So this is a new YouTube channel set up by Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. It's their film company. And I wasn't going to mention this because the day after last week, they made a short video. It was a parody of Shaun of the Dead. And it was basically them being like, right, pick up mum, kill your stepdad, have a pint, go home. That's what everyone should be doing. But then today he released another video basically being like, it was just Simon Pegg, and he was like, don't do any of that, stay home. I hope everyone's social distancing, I hope everyone's inside. I'm doing it as well, and I'm only leaving the house once a day to do some exercise, so I hope you're all doing the same. Hope this helps as some entertainment while you're not exercising. But the only reason I brought it up is because in the video, he probably purposely did it, that you could see his Shaun of the Dead shirt, like just in the background of him. And any fans, I thought that was pretty cool, so you might want to go and check that out. It's called Stolen Picture. Yeah, I thought that was pretty sick. New Bake Off episode 3 is out. It's got Joel Dommett on, the stand-up comedian. I'm just literally watching it now, which is why I'm pointing down here. It has also got Tan from Queer Eye on. He's really funny. Then it's got a really famous British tennis player. I don't really know much about her. And a famous something Quentin actress from the 90s who's been in lots of stuff I've actually seen. So definitely go and give it a watch. I fucking love Bake Off. Tell everyone to watch it. It's absolutely fantastic. Sorry about the hair and the beard if you are watching the video. I left my razor in Newcastle as well. Not that I'd probably use it, but that's why it looks disgusting. I do know I need to shave it off. I don't need that constructive criticism. Thank you. I'm going to go into recommendations. I'm just going to zoom up. I have got, I think, 7 recommendations this week, and they stretch from Prime, Netflix, and Sky that I think you should be watching while you're isolating. So I'll jump straight into that. The first one is Upright, and I learnt this off a podcast called, what was it called? It's from the Weekly Planet Broadcasting Network, Australian podcasting network. And on one of them, I can't quite remember which one, they mentioned Upright, which is a story of a man and his unlikely friendship with a teenager he meets as he travels across the outback of Australia with his piano. Amazing. He's going to see his family, and I don't want to say anything. He's going to meet his family for a specific reason, but it's by Tim Minchin. If you didn't know, he's a satire singer-songwriter. He's really funny. I'd definitely give it a watch. I've watched the first 3 episodes now, and it is funny. It's class. You should YouTube him as well, Tim Minchin. He's absolutely fantastic. But I heard of him recently because a while ago he's meant to have I'm getting too excited. A while ago he was meant to have an animated series in America, but he didn't end up doing it. It just got cut short, and I don't really know why. So he came back, and this is the project that he set up doing, and this is what he's done. Really good. If you have Sky or the TV Pass on Now TV, definitely go and give it a watch. It's called Upright. I'm not going to say too much about this next one, called Captain Fantastic. I watched it with one of my friends, probably almost 2 years ago now. It's just been added to Netflix. It's got Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. He stars in it with George McKay. as well. He is the oldest son, and it's a story of a father with his kids who live in the forest and live off the land. They're totally cut off from the outside world. But his wife, I think she gets diagnosed with cancer or something to that extent, and she has to go to hospital. So the story follows what happens with the wife in hospital. Do the kids leave and go and live properly with grandparents in a real house now that like something big has impacted them? Like, do they still stay where they are? Do they stay with the dad? It's all explained through the film, but there's reasons for why he's there, what he's doing, reasons for it. Really, really good. Genuinely one of my favourite films. Go and watch it now, just been added to Netflix. So it's randomly popped in my head, The Wizard of Oz, that's just been added to Netflix. That's a really, really class film as well. But even better, go Now TV and watch Return to Oz, the fucking scariest sequel to any film ever. It's from the 1980s. And I remember watching it as a kid. They used to have the wheelie people, if anyone's seen it. Fucking terrifying, right? Absolutely god awful. Right, so it's these people, and they have wheels for hands, and they like scoot along, come scare the shit out of you. And as a kid, I actually had nightmares about them. But now when you think back to it, I just want to share this for anyone. Sorry, it's a tangent. Shares for anyone who also had this. Right, think back to it. All you need is a cricket bat, one whack to the head, they're gone. They come at you head first on wheels, yeah. Or just take out their arms and legs. They are nothing without their arms and legs, like Olympians, right? So just take them out. If anyone's having those nightmares, that's something to think about next time that you have those nightmares. So, listen to this noggin. I don't know what I was on about, but yeah, Return to Oz. Wizard of Oz, fantastic. Return to Oz is fucking evil, right? You heard it here first. The next one is a documentary from Netflix. Sorry, I'm out of frame, but I just need to stand up and stretch me back. It's by Jim Carrey. It's called Andy and Jim. It's a documentary detailing his extreme method acting during the filming of Man on the Moon, which in itself is a biopic of Andy Kaufman, if I haven't got that name wrong. So basically, this guy was just an arsehole. He was a comedian. He was really funny, but he was a genuine arsehole, and I think seems a bit like a sociopath, if I'm being honest. So this is about how Jim Carrey gets really into method acting to the point he thinks that he is him, and everyone has to call him Andy. And the people that the personas Andy had, Jim then has, and like it's really, really interesting documentary. Absolutely fucking class. Definitely recommend it. I don't want to say too much because like there's twists and turns like any documentary. Same documentary at the minute. The Tiger King, just been added to Netflix. Finished it yesterday. That's also a really, really good one. Which I described it to Barney this morning. Basically, it's the plot. Did a man set up to kill someone who was against his business, but then also added that he's a gay? I can't remember the word. He has like 2 husbands, and he looks after 1,200 tigers in like fucking Florida or somewhere mental. So it's just like it's already a really, really cool crime story, and then add in like this really big personality, and he has 1,200 tigers, and it's about that. Really, really fucking good. Go and check that out as well. Sorry, and after Jim Carrey, I was also going to say there's a film called I Love You, Philip Morris. And basically Jim Carrey is one of his more like it is funny, but it's one of his more serious roles, and he is a con man who falls in love with Ewan McGregor. And basically it's the story of how he goes to prison. He meets Ewan McGregor in prison, so it's why they're in prison, blah blah blah. And just really, really good film. I don't want to say too much because I often accidentally spoil films, but if you look like Jim Carrey at all and Ewan McGregor, go and watch that. It's on Amazon Prime at the minute. Next is something a little bit different. I've tried to like put a range of things in, and this is something one of my flatmates introduced me to, so shout out to you, you know who you are. It's called Kingdom, and it's a Korean zombie TV series, Netflix original. I'm just going to open this window because I'm boiling. So it's basically The Walking Dead if it was set in Korea 1,000 years ago and was good. So if that sounds like your type of thing, definitely go and give it a watch. Like the set pieces are absolutely amazing. The acting's fantastic. I don't really know any of the actors because it's all Korean, and you can get it dubbed in English, but I'd definitely recommend watching it with English subtitles in the original Korean because it's absolutely fantastic. The action scenes are fucking immense. And when I say it's better than The Walking Dead, I mean that The Walking Dead has so much filler and buffer for each episode, and each episode feels like we've got to this part to try and get to this part. But this is like, you get somewhere and there's a reason for getting there, and then the reason they go to the next place is logical. There's very few times you're yelling at the screen like, don't fucking do that. Like, it's so, so good. I would definitely recommend watching it. Season 2 has just dropped. It's like 6 episodes season, so it's only 6 hours a season, so you can definitely watch it in one day. 10 out of 10 would recommend that. Sorry, I'm talking so quickly because I'm so excited to get everything across. The next three are comedies. One is Breeders. I'm only 2 episodes into this. It's on Sky One at the minute, starring Martin Freeman. And the way it was described to me is, to me, I watched it on a talk show with Martin Freeman. The way he described it is like, as a parent, everything you're ashamed of doing, like yelling at your kids, being spiteful, doing something to just piss them off because they've pissed you off. Basically it's a TV show around that, so it's probably better like one generation above us who are just having kids and things like that, maybe 2 generations above us, like having kids and going through parenting for the first time. But because it has Martin Freeman in it, it's really fucking funny, and I definitely recommend it. I'm only 2 episodes in, so it could get dog shit, but really liking it at the minute. It's something good to have on in the background while I'm playing Animal Crossing, because Animal Crossing just come out, didn't think I'd mention it, but it's just something easy on in the background, and it's nice to hear Martin Freeman swear. Something about it just really like. So that's a bit odd. But finally, I wanted to stand up with 2 stand-up comedians because a lot of people are anxious in these times and there's lots going on. But I think a perfect way of like not getting over it. The perfect way of getting yourself through it is comedy, and 2 stand-up comedians that I would recommend. Most people have seen the first one, Bo Burnham. He's absolutely fantastic. I think he's got 3 on Netflix at the minute, and there's one on YouTube for free if you don't even have Netflix. He's got like Make Happy. I can't remember the other 2. So sorry, but just literally YouTube Bo Burnham or type in Netflix Bo Burnham. All of them are good. All of them are fantastic. If you can watch them in order, do it. But I don't really think there's any need to. But he's hilarious. And the second one is, see, my computer's auto-corrected his name, so it's Aziz Ansari, I think. Aziz Ansari. I'm not sure, and like that's so awful. I don't really know how to pronounce his name, but he is from Perks. He's from Parks and Recreation. I can't name. It's the blonde woman's like right hand man. And he is really, really fucking funny. It's his stand-up show, and it's directed by Spike Jonze. So it's like shot on film, and like it's all quite close up, so you feel like you're there. It's not like just at the back, like most of the time I'm moving the microphone away. It's like not right at the back, so you feel like you're like looking down. You feel like you're right there with him. And he was cancelled last year due to, I think it was a fake sexual assault claim. I don't know if it was fake. I don't know what happened, if it was settled. But he sort of talks about how it was to be cancelled. He talks about woke culture. And I know all of them have been done to absolute fucking death. But it was really, really good. And he did it really, really well. And it was hilarious. Like, I always watch these things. I'm always like, am I really going to laugh? Like, I don't really know if I like this person. But he really got me. And I know I've been going on for like 13 minutes about recommendations, but the other one as well is Chris Ramsey. He has a hilarious podcast that I'd recommend to anyone. But I never thought he was like, it's mainly his wife that's really funny, which is bad because he's the stand-up comedian. But if you watch his live show on Amazon Prime at the minute, it's just type in Chris Ramsey. It's the most recent one. Again, I can't really remember the name. Sorry. But the names don't matter, it's just them doing stand-up. But that's at the beginning, I'm sat there and I'm like really critical for some reason of it. Pardon me. I'm really critical of them for some reason, I don't really understand why. But by the end, I was cackling. Like, you can ask my flatmate stuff. Like, I was cackling at what he was saying. That was absolutely fantastic. So if you're feeling like a bit on the edge at the minute, a bit anxious, and you're a fan of stand-up comedy, those are 3 people I would definitely recommend. So thank you for listening. If you're still here, if you are still here again, please give me a message if you have any constructive criticism. The next part of what I'm going to go into is one of the reasons I wanted to start the podcast. So I love 35mm and film photos, and I have a few little cameras that I take photos of, and just before the isolation started, I decided to get my winter my winter disposable pictures developed. I don't mean to do it in seasons, but you take that, and they're so expensive to get developed, and you take that many that I happen to get them like 4 times a year sort of thing. So these are my winter ones, and they cross from bonfire night, from a few things I did in Stockton, York, my friend's birthday, and my walk around Heaton Park, and then Pancake Day. So for the next about 10 minutes, I'm going to go through like the pictures and say some funny stories behind them. Because like I have an Instagram called Go Prandal on Film, which hopefully lots of you follow. If not, feel free. And I love posting it on there and showing everyone the pictures. But I think one of the reasons that I like doing it is the story behind the pictures. So that's one of the original reasons I wanted to start the podcast. So now I'm going to put them up on screen and then just talk a little bit about them. So if that's your thing, please stick around. If not, stick around anyway. Thank you. But I'll see you in a second because I'm going to turn this off and flash them up on screen. Hello, I know it's only been a second due, but it's been a few minutes for me. But thank you for sticking around. So I'm just going to jump straight into it. So the first ones that I've popped up on screen at the minute are from Bonfire Night from November last year. And I love these pictures of Miles. Obviously, I had the first one at the beginning because he recently wanted to also start to get into film photography. So I was like, I'll try and take your picture. And then it got really fucking cold, so we all put our hoods up when we were watching the fireworks. And if I should one day I'll put it in a video. Miles filmed the entire bonfire set, the fireworks set, sorry. And his commentary was absolutely hilarious. And it's just me, him, and Josh. I think my friend Narcissus, and like we're all there, and we're all just making comments constantly. But one of the best things come out of it, Miles said something along the lines of that Stockton has spent £1 million on. Stockton spent £1 million on fireworks. So every time a firework went up, Miles would just like. At first he was serious. I think he realised what he said. But then every firework that went up, Miles would be like, "There's 10 grand. There's 2 grand," and like the entire performance, the people around us must have hated us. But yeah, and that picture as well, where he just looks like a lion, I think it's absolutely class. It's one of my favourite pictures from this set. And it's not Canada Goose because that's might what it looked like, but Miles is a good person, so it's not Canada Goose. The next one, just quickly in between, that's Ashley and Chloe and Josh. We go to this bonfire. It's next to a little pub that we go to, and you take your own drink, and the people who must save up stuff all year, or maybe they just have that much waste, they just chuck constantly stuff on the fire, and I absolutely love it. Like, I'm a big lover of bonfire night, and I love bonfires, so that's absolutely class. Definitely recommend it to anyone. Then after that, me and Miles escaped early, and we went to a pub called New Bridge Pub, if I'm not getting that wrong. And this is one of the first few times we went, so it was still new, and they have like pool table, shuffleboard. Most of you probably know this, but it's absolutely class and we love it. And again, Miles was like, "Oh, take a picture of me and I'll take a picture of you." So these are those pictures, and I think they're absolutely class. Like, they're ones I'm definitely look back on and be like, "Oh, I remember that from uni. Like, that was so fun." Because he just came to uni. I've been here 3 years now, 2, 3. Second, first. I've been here 3 years now, and he's just come up, so it's nice that I've had the experience with all the friends I've made, and now I can bring home friends up and experience it with them, and then introduce them to friends here. I think that's absolutely class. Just quickly in between there, that's the day I went to play football with Joel and Matt. I don't know if I have any. I just really like this picture, but I don't know if I have any funny stories apart from I played for like half an hour, but I wore joggers that were too big and shoes that were too small, so I was just uncomfortable. I wasn't good at football, and I just came away being really, really pissed off because they're quite good at it, and I was absolute dog shit. But yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. The ones after it, I have a few funny stories from. I'm just gonna like pop up for the next few minutes, like all the ones, but these are all from York. So we went up for our friend's 21st birthday. And lots of like we all sort of came around from the country. Like, sorry, I say that again. I'm getting excited again. We all came around from being around different parts of the country, so we had to go to the train station and wait for everyone to get there. So I had the ingenious idea that we should all go to the train museum, which she wasn't fond of at all. So we went on the train museum and got some really, really funny pictures. Well, I think they're funny. One of my favourites is, hopefully it's on screen now. It's Miles and Barney lying in front of the train. So everyone else in like this really nice gear to go day drinking. We're all in like quite nice clothes, don't get me wrong, but they just got covered in soot and dirt lying in front of this train, making it look like they wanted to kill themselves, which may have been a comment on the day, but that's not up to me. But that is one of my favourite pictures. It's now my Twitter background. I think it's absolutely class. Then popping up after that is some pictures from the rest of the day. We went along the walls where Barney was absolutely smashed, and he kept telling us about pop punk. He told us about pop punk. He told us about 3 stories and then told them 6 times each. So Miles was getting really, really just bored, and like we just had to listen to Barney drone on and on and on about pop punk as we went up the walls. But I got some nice pictures, so I suppose it was worth it. We went to a bar, Storm Roses bar. It's like indie heaven, and they had some like really nice cocktails. But so if you're in York, I'd definitely recommend there. People go out day drinking all the time, probably like, duh, like that's a lovely place to go. But I'd never been before, so I think that was a like smashing place to go. So I'd definitely recommend it, and I'd also recommend taking Drunk Barney up the walls. Um, only laughing because some of our friends live in a city called Derry, and when they say take someone up the walls, I think it means something different. But not me and Barney. Funnily enough, Barney was meant to be on the podcast. I haven't asked him, but he was meant to be on the podcast next week to talk about pop punk because he knows so much about it. I thought it'd be a really, really interesting podcast. But then we all got quarantined, so that might be a bit more difficult. But if I can work out a way to do it 2 meters apart, hopefully that'll be next week because he knows so much about it, and I find it really interesting just talking to people when they know about loads. I want to go around to all my friends and just listen to them like tell me so much shit. But yeah, so that was York. Next is it's my friend Ashling's 21st birthday again. See, I only get the camera out for like people's birthdays at this point. And we went to a place called Tally Train Newcastle. I'm sure most of you know what it is, but if not, basically it's a really cool restaurant. It's a bar in Newcastle, and then outside they have two big open flamed fires. You can go around and drink your pints and eat your food around there. So a few of these were taken by Aisling or Chloe. I'm not sure which one. Probably Aisling. The picture of me walking out with my pint, and Chloe. A picture of Josh and Harry in there. I think it's absolutely class. Wonderful place to go if you're ever like visiting Newcastle, or if you like us and live there. Most people probably know about this, so I'm being dumb. But that was a really, really class night, so I'm glad I got some pictures from that. And then I really like the picture of everyone. They have like a s'mores thing that you can buy. You make your own s'mores and toast them. And I just got such a cute picture of people I don't normally get pictures of, like Joan and Emily. I don't normally get disposable pictures of them, so I'm glad I have such a nice one of everyone smiling and being happy. That's a lovely memory. And I remember... I can't see, this is stupid for the podcast, but I remember someone telling a really funny joke and I cried with laughter, but I can't remember the jokes. That's pointless. But yeah. And second, finally, is no, there's another set. Sorry, third last is a picture on the train. I'm only putting this in because I think it's a really, really cool picture, and I like pictures like this that look. The reason I try to get into film photography is maybe stupid because I think it looks nice. It looks like old timey. So this is just a train when I was coming back from Darlow to Newcastle. But normally when I come back to Newcastle, I get the bus, and my family drop me off, and they're like, "Aye, fuck off." But this day, we'd missed the buses, and they're like, "Oh, just because we'd been in Richmond walking." So they were like, "Just get the train, and like, we'll drop you off there, you get the train, stay there." And I love the train. The train is my favourite form of transport. But something about it, because it felt like more, like when you used to go down to London by yourself or something, your mum would like wave you off on the platform, like, "Oh my god, bye." It's like my entire family came to the platform and waved me off to go back to Newcastle, and I was like, "I'll see you in 2 weeks." Like, this really isn't a big thing when I'm anywhere else. You don't give a shit. So I thought that was funny, but I just absolutely love that picture. Then, so these pictures, these are the ones I had to fucking research, right? So this is Heaton Park. These are the last pictures I took on the spool. If anyone remembers Funhouse, there's a guy called that on there, used to be, but that's a tangent. So these are the last pictures I took was walking around the park one day once the quarantine set in, like going my weekly exercise, and I found this tree. Most people have probably seen this tree, and it's full of shoes, like absolutely covered in shoes. I don't know if the camera picks it up that well. And I was like, is this some art piece or like charity thing? That's what I immediately assumed. Because, oh, sorry, that really came up badly. Because I see it on people's stories all the time. So I went to Google, and I found the first thing I found was someone saying that they thought it was, at some point, a load of students graduated, so they like threw their shoes in the air and it got caught. That was like one of the things that people thought it was. And I might not have researched it enough, so there might be a real reason out there. And if there is, please get back to me. But what I found was that one says that there's 26 of these trees in America, and someone thought maybe it was the same madman going around and doing it. Maybe like art has a different reason. But the most interesting thing is there's a book by, let me find it. I'll find it right now. Shoe Tree. So basically there was a book written by a woman who... Right, so it's by Julia Darling. Sorry for that little blip. It's called The Taxi Driver's Daughter by Julia Darling, right? And so in the book that she writes, this tree, like this exact tree, plays like a central character. Sorry, I'm literally just searching. This is such bad etiquette for a podcast. So I'll read it out to you. This is The Taxi Driver's Daughter by Julia Darling. It is late December and a 15-year-old Caris is trying to hang an angel on a Christmas tree in a terrace street in Newcastle upon Tyne. She is interrupted by the arrival of the police. I can't read off the screen, isn't that bad? Who have came to a house to announce that their mother, Louise, has been caught stealing shoes in a department store in town. So Carrie's father, Mac, is a taxi driver, struggling to keep the family together over Christmas. So I haven't read the book. So apparently this tree is very famous that this must be where the mother puts them, and I don't know why the mother puts them there. And I don't know. So this came out in 2006, and I think that's around the time that the tree was there. So was it a fan of the book who did it? Was it the author of the book? Was the tree already there before she wrote it, and that's what gave her the idea for the book? I don't know. I'm not that good a researcher, which I've looked and looked and looked, but I couldn't see it. I thought that was really interesting. I took some pictures of it, and which is cool because online you can go on. I think it's called newcastlephotos.com or org, and it shows you pictures from like 2010, 2006, 2009, like all these different pictures. So hopefully mine get put up there one day. I think that'd be pretty funny. But yeah, so if you know anything about that tree, please get in touch. That's what I think it's from. And now, so that's something to tell your friends if you're ever in Heaton Park and you walk past it. Just be like, that's the taxi driver's daughter's tree book thing. Yeah. But I thought that was strange. Final picture, which is just a bit of a joke picture, is from when we were at my friend's house. Oh, fuck. I almost just knocked everything over. It's when we were at my friend's house on Pancake Day. And we made so many pancakes, we left a stack for one of our friends who was at work, and we just abused this stack of pancakes, getting bitten into and drawn on, and I thought that was a lovely memory, so here's a picture of it. Not much else behind that. Class day again. Thank you for everyone who was there. Lovely day. But thank you for listening to this short section on my disposable pics. If you do want to see any of them in more detail, they will be going up on my Instagram. If you're in any of them, want them, just give me a text. I think they're absolutely fantastic. Thank you for watching episode 2 of Distraction. I really enjoyed this week's, and I hope you learned something, and I hope you watch one of my recommendations. If you have anything to recommend me, please get in touch. If you know anything about the tree, please get in touch. And if you think I did something stupid or it sounds or looks shit, please get in touch and tell me. But I really enjoy doing these. It's really just making my isolation better. Every Wednesday, please come back and listen to episode 3 where I'll hopefully have Barney on talk about pop punk, or I'll found something interesting to tell you about. Thank you, and see you next week.